Hello and welcome from Mexico City, where the teams are getting ready for today's practice session here at the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez. I'm here with Anthony Davidson once again. Nice to see you, Ant, and I wanted to ask you about how you go about improving the car over the course of a practice session. How much would you say is already known from the pre-race simulations? And how much do you have to do, how much do you have to work on with a real car on a real circuit?
Well, that's a good question, Crofty, and I suppose the simple answer is that there's no such thing as too much information. As you say, the bigger teams have very complex simulations, vast numbers of clever people crunching the numbers back at base, but what they can't tell you is stuff like how the track condition's going to be, or what the temperature's going to be doing over the course of the day, and how all of that's going to be interacting with the tyre. There are so many millions of tiny variables involved in getting these cars around a racetrack quickly, but the computer can't tailor the car to a driver's specific balance requirements. At some point, you still need to put a human being in there and have them feel it through the seat of their pants. And that's why we end up with different drivers having different setups. So what I'm trying to say is, Crofty, nothing beats on-track testing.
What's up, YouTube land? Xeno Gaming here with the next episode of our career mode. I believe today is episode 16. Yep, episode 16. So welcome to everyone here to the Mexican Grand Prix, where we will have another tough Grand Prix on our hands. And looking at it, going to be a really interesting weekend because teams like Williams have made a jump, Haas have made a jump. We're now all of a sudden the 8th best car on the grid, and Williams have made a massive jump to be pretty much right with the midfield. Renault are looking the slowest car on the grid at the minute. Ferrari are back ahead of Mercedes, so it's all very interesting. So let's see what happens in qualifying.
Not long now until the lights go green for the Mexico Grand Prix qualifying. So let's get ready and see who has that pole position winning performance in them this afternoon. Looking at this field today, Anthony, do you think we're going to see anyone take a chance? Maybe run the hard tyres and save some of the grippier tyres for the race tomorrow?
Well, I'd be surprised in all honesty. It's only the front runners that really have the pace to get away with that. And even then, at the end of the day, it's a big risk. Track position is the most important thing, and it's rarely worth sacrificing for a slightly more optimal strategy in the race, so I doubt we're going to see anyone trying it. I have been wrong before though. We certainly do see some risky decisions every now and then, and it's a gamble that's sometimes worth taking. But if it were me in the car, I would want to be on the fastest tyre for my qualifying lap, without a doubt.
Welcome to the Mexican Grand Prix here today. We're going to have a very difficult qualifying on our hands. One thing, we need to beat our teammate, but two, he's got the home crowd boost of the Mexican GP. So that's going to be one thing to deal with. It's going to be a difficult race in qualifying. I was struggling in practice, especially in Sector 3. Just never felt comfortable with the balance of the car. All in practice, but anyway, here is our first run in qualifying number 1 as we start our first lap. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting weekend though, with Williams making huge improvements. Renault have a bad chassis and stuff, but I believe their engine is actually alright, so they will be able to compete around this track. As here we're going to turn 4 a little bit too deep, and this is pretty much this lap ruined, but we'll try and go on to finish the lap to see what we can do. But yeah, so as we now come into the stadium section of this lap, and we're going, this is where I was struggling all weekend. As you see here, wasn't comfortable in the brakes, locked up the rears there and went in too deep, and I was struggling with the power on these exit of these two corners as well. So you see here, oversteering massively, and we'll end that lap. The tyres probably a little bit overheated at the stage. And now here's our second lap in Q2. So the first lap is obviously no good, and we are currently last. So we need to find huge improvements here to get through to Q2 as we come into turn 1. Braking in that like camera kind of thing, hit that apex. Trying to You got to try and not be too fast through those corners so you can get the best run towards turn 4. It's a very tricky track to actually drive. I felt like it's very much about the corner exit speed, and you got to attack but not attack the corners too heavily, like especially through that first chicane. Here we go, trying to open the angle of the corner to get the best run now through probably the best part of the track, the S's here. And it's got to just be very, it's all about throttle control, I feel like, this track, and if you control the throttle nicely, you're better off for it as we get a nice run through the S's now on the run to the stadium section. Definitely the trickiest part of the track as we now come into the hairpin. Got to hit that nicely, get it down the first gear, up the third, try and be smooth on the throttle, as smooth as we can be, like a baby's bottom. As we come around now, we're up by 2 seconds. Is it enough to get through to Q2? It's not. Unfortunately, it is not good enough to get through to Q2. We're out in Q1. It was all very tight. Unfortunately, Perez was in P12 there, and we were only 3/10 off Sergio. So George Russell through to Q2 in the improved Williams. As we scroll down here, you can see we didn't miss out by much, but we did miss out, unfortunately. We do out-qualify Kubica in 19th, and Danny Kvyat will be starting 20th, so that is unfortunate for Danny Kvyat. And yeah, without further ado, let's get into the race and see what we can do from 18th on the grid. It should be a good race with the midfield. You gain a couple tenths, you're inside the top 10, so let's get into the race.
The air may be thin here in Mexico City. The atmosphere is anything but. The crowd have been chanting and singing, not just this afternoon, but throughout the entire weekend. There's a great love for Formula One here, and no small amount of expectation. Let's hope today's Grand Prix can meet it. The Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez, 2.6 miles of track that allows drivers to take full advantage of their cars, reaching speeds in excess of 220 miles per hour, and providing lots of opportunities for overtaking. The circuit features 17 corners, 10 to the right, and the remaining 7 going to the left. And joining me amongst the cheers of the phenomenal Mexican fans, it's Anthony Davidson. And welcome along to this historic circuit. What an occasion this is.
Yeah, it's hard to believe when you see the passion this country has for the sport that Formula One was away from Mexico for so long. It's fantastic to be here, and let's hope that the race lives up to the party atmosphere we've got going. It's a real fast track, this. We get up to Monza levels of speed down the main straight thanks to the high altitude here at over 2,000 metres above sea level. And with that comes the challenge of having less downforce in the corners. So that makes it a really demanding circuit, both for the drivers and engineers.
It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. An immense lap from Lewis Hamilton yesterday puts him on pole position, and it's Charles Leclerc in P2. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Bottas, Verstappen, Sebastian Vettel, and Gasly, Butler, Stroll, Weber, and Kevin Magnussen, Hülkenberg, Ricciardo, Lando Norris, and Perez, Russell, Raikkonen, Romain Grosjean, and the captain, Kubica, and Daniel Kvyat completes the grid. And with preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track.
Okay, be wary of the cars ahead braking suddenly into one. We could ruin our race if we hit them. Good luck.
Welcome to the Mexican Grand Prix here today at Mexico. Should be a really intriguing race. Two-stop strategy for us today. Soft, medium. So that looks like the best strategy at this point in time. So we are going to be running that for this Grand Prix. But here we go. 5 red lights. And it's go for the Mexican Grand Prix. Good start for Grosjean, decent start for Lance Stroll up ahead. He's always a good starter. We're not too bad, don't get a too bad start as well. We're right here in the mix of it. Perez looks like he hasn't had the best of things off the line, as we're now going to dive deep into turn 1, down the inside, past a few cars, alongside our teammate. He gives us the huge squeeze into turn 1. We go around the outside into 2, and he's inside into 3. Now we're going side by side with Sergio Perez for P15. He comes into us a little bit, and then I realised that Raikkonen was also alongside, so we back out of that, and we slot into 17th place. We gained 1 position off the line, and that was on Roman Grosjean as Perez and Raikkonen go side by side. We just have to slot in behind Norris up ahead in P14. So the 2 Ferraris lead from the 2 Mercedes, and then the 2 Red Bulls as Raikkonen and Perez go side by side, and Raikkonen gets the better of him into the S's, and Perez will have to settle for 16th at this current time. And now it's all about finding a rhythm, but you also want to be marching ahead as well into the stadium section for the very first time. You can see George Russell up in 13th place. Could he be scoring points today for Williams? It is definitely on the cards for Mr. Russell. They've had a tough season, have Williams, but they are finally making the improvements needed to be with the rest of the midfield group. As now we start the second lap here for the Mexican Grand Prix. Our teammate, the local hero here in Mexico, can he do anything about Kimi Räikkönen into turn 1? He's got the slipstream, but he's not close enough, unfortunately, and he will have to follow through. As looks like Kevin Magnussen, or is that George Russell? They're all behind. Yeah, it is George Russell, who's just got past Daniel Ricciardo in the struggling Renault. He's qualified well, Ricciardo, but what can he do in the race? So as we come into the turn 4 and 5 complex, we're going to take, Ricciardo looks like he's holding up the pack. We're going to take a nice sweeping line. We're going to come underneath Sergio Perez. We have a better run to turn 5 and 6, or 6 and 7. And we go up the inside of Sergio Perez, and that is now P16. As now we come into the next lap, lap 3, as Raikkonen is going down the inside of Ricciardo. So it looks like everyone is ganging up on Daniel Ricciardo, as Norris has also overtaken the slow Renault driver. I'm not sure if he's got an issue. I think it's just the pace of the Renault car, but to be fair, Nico Hülkenberg, who has also now been overtaken by George Russell, so it could be just a slow Renault problem around this track. Anyway, they did well to both get out of Q1 as we tried a sweeping line again, and this time Perez has come up our inside, and apparently we exceeded track limits, but we got hit off by our teammate. So definitely some tensions rising between the 2 Toro Rosso drivers, as Perez definitely hit us into that corner. Anyway, we're still on the back of the Renault driver, who is really slow. Daniel Ricciardo really slow through his complex of corners, and now we're going to have a look into the next corner, into the stadium section. He's very slow on the straight as well. He must have an issue. As we go down the inside, we're very deep into the corner, but we get the position. He comes back, tries to go around the outside. We defend into the hairpin, and that is P15. I don't know how legal that is or not, but he was just so slow we got past anyway. And look how much we've gapped him, and Perez got past too. And now he's passed us onto lap 5 into turn 1. The local hero gets back past ahead of his teammate, which is us, into P15 for Perez. So you can see how much Ricciardo struggled. He's now lost another position to Grosjean. As anyway, we come back at Perez maybe into turn 4, but no, he defends the middle of the track. No way through. We're going to go with the sweeping line, but this time he's not held up by the other cars ahead, and we can't do anything about it. So we're going to have to settle for 16th place at the minute. As now we nothing much happened. We followed pretty much. We didn't catch any more cars. Coming to our first pit stop on the end of lap 11. Put him on the soft tyres. Nico Hülkenberg has also followed suit. You can see on the next lap Kubica and Danny Kvyat came in for the soft tyres as well. So they're running a similar strategy. And then the next lap, lap 14, Perez is in, but he's on the hard tyre, so he must be one stopping. So Perez is coming for the one stopping, and at this moment I clicked. Took me I think a couple laps to click that he was on the hard tyre when he didn't catch up, didn't close on us. And other drivers have also, like Raikkonen and Weber, they've opted for the hard tyre. I believe Norris also opted for the hard tyre. So definitely a split in the strategies. Now it just occurred to me that we have to push more than ever, because we didn't obviously gap them at all in the first stint. So it has occurred to me more than ever that we're going to have to try and gap these guys. And now Weber, we're up to the back of him, and we are fighting for 13th place here as we come into the stadium section here at lap 15. Huge lock up here, but we should have DRS and a chance of overtaking. We'll use the back end though. That's going to cost us, and it's cost us corner entry. It's going to cost us corner exit speed all the way down the straight. That's really poor driving there, and we're under pressure from Kimi Räikkönen as well. We still have DRS. He doesn't have DRS, and this just shows you how powerful DRS is at this track. no way. I was thinking maybe we were getting a move on turn 4 with DRS, but the DRS is so powerful that we actually managed to pull alongside into turn 1, outbrake him, and we are through into 13th place. So even a bit of poor driving doesn't stop the overpowered DRS. It's just way too powerful, but we are, move up into 13th place. Now we're at steering once again at the back of Hulkenberg, but he's overtaken Magnussen, who was also running the hard tyres. We've had a poor exit out of turn 1, and we haven't been able to lose Weber from our DRS, and Weber now is coming back around the outside. Can Lucas Weber get the move done? We intentionally missed the apex of the corner to make sure he can't go around the outside, and we hold on to 13th place for now. But you can see Hulkenberg is dispatched of Norris and Magnussen on harder tyres. We need to do the same as we go a bit wide here into this corner, and I was so frustrated at this point. And we go wider again. We floor it through the chicane, and we get a 3-second time penalty, which is understandable because we do gain a huge advantage. Pretty much knocks Weber out of our slipstream. And I was just so frustrated at that point of the race because I couldn't pull away from Weber, and I couldn't catch up to the Hulkenberg ahead, who was on the same tyre. It was just really struggling to get to grips with the track, and I deserved 3-second penalties as I edit this now. At the time I was even more frustrated. It just made me even more angrier. But moving on to lap 22, you can see the gaps haven't really changed. Kvyat's behind us now on the soft tyre as well. Hulkenberg's dropped back behind as the soft tyres start to degrade massively, and we are planning on a pit stop this lap, as now we look to come in for a pit stop on lap 22, and you can see here we're pushing into the pit lane to catch as much as Hulkenberg, and we speed into the pit lane by 1 kilometre, 81 k's, 1 kilometre we speed into the pit lane by. So 5-second penalty, that's unfortunate. It's another mistake in this Grand Prix that adds to the frustration even more, and we have to catch the other drivers in this race. They are one-stopping. The guys on hard tyres are one-stopping. We're switching onto a fresher set of medium tyres. These tyres will go to the end. We should be much quicker than the guys, but we've got a lot of time to make up. As you can see, Kvyat's coming behind, but he didn't put on the medium, he put on the hard tyre. So that was a weird decision, but we're pushing. This is now lap 28. It's been 5 laps. We've finally caught the back of Hulkenberg. It has taken us that long to catch to the back of him, but you can see just up ahead where Perez and Kubica is. So that's how far those guys are. They're just on the run, coming through 4 and 5 right now. So we are closing, but we're not. I don't know if we're closing by enough. There's 8 laps to go. You can see where the guys are on the mini-map. As we're going to have a look at Hulkenberg though into turn 4 more importantly. We can't get the move done. There's a yellow flag out there. Kimi Räikkönen's out. He's broken down. He's out of the Grand Prix, and there is now a safety car. Safety car is deployed, so that is going to turn this race on its heads once again. So we now, I don't know if that's good or bad for us. We have a 3-second time penalty hanging over our head. We decided to put on the soft tyre. I saw we had a fresh set of soft tyres, so we're going to go for it. We're going to put on a new set of soft tyres with 8 laps to go. They'll be good for those 8 laps at least. They'll probably be about 6 laps by the time the safety car is finished. As you can see here, now in the pit, serving our pit lane penalty, so that's out the way at least. We've still got the 3 seconds. As you can see, we're on the mini-map though, the leaders are coming into the final corner, so we've got a massive job to do. We've got Roman Grosjean behind us still, so he's had that poor race that he's actually still behind us. But you can see now, we've got the notification safety cars coming in this lap. Grosjean, I know he just dropped off completely, but that's how far we are behind the pack as we come to the restart here. So we are, I know, about 3 seconds back, but by the end of the lap, they've gone that slowly. Ricardo here is actually a lap down now, so he's out of this Grand Prix. He gets out the way for us, and we can now, we lost the lap in terms of trying to overtake cars, but we now are right behind Robert Kubica on the chasing pack. We're on better tyres, younger tyres and better tyres, so we really should fly through these guys. There's only 3 laps to do it though, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens as we brake as late as we dare into turn 1. And you can see Kvyat getting ahead of George Russell, so now the Williams are falling to the back. Kvyat is on those soft tyres, on the medium tyres. He has good tyres, so we now right behind Kubica. We don't have a chance into turn 4, but we're going to use that wide line. We're going to open the angle right up and easy as you like there. Much better tyres. Go drive straight past Kubica off the corner. Go a bit deep into the double hairpin there, double right-hander, I should say, not a hairpin really. Now, lap 34 here, we're on the back of George Russell, and he defends his position to the inside. We're on the better tyres. We're going to break him right around the outside, lock the front right away, go off the track a little bit, but we get ahead into P15, and now the next target is Danny Kvyat on those harder tyres, so he should be susceptible to us now on this next lap 35, as we have the DRS here. We should pull right up behind him. He also, I believe, has DRS there on Nico Hulkenberg. So here we are, lap 35. We've gone to the end of the lap now, as we are now in Kvyat's slipstream, and we're going to have a go maybe into this corner. No, we're not close enough this time around. We're pushing him. We're going to have a go into the hairpin maybe. We're going to have a look. We're not far enough up alongside, so we're going to have to settle for the next straight here. But unfortunately we lost a bit of time having a look at him in the hairpin, so that maybe wasn't the wise idea to try and overtake him in the hairpin, and now we've lost a bit of ground to him, and we're not going to be close enough to make a move into turn 1, because he does have DRS on Nico Hulkenberg, so that's unfortunate for us. We're going to have to get a good run through here. He's right behind Hulkenberg though, so maybe he'll be looking at the back of the Renault driver. We get a decent run through the chicane. We use all the curves, really attack them, and now we got pretty close behind here. We're gaining. We're closer to Kvyat than he is to Hulkenberg. He decides to defend. We decide to go down the inside, late move under the brakes, and we make it stick. So that's a good move for 14th place. Only issue is this is the last lap. We have 3 seconds. The pack is going really slowly ahead though, so the pack's going real slowly. As an issue for Lando Norris, I don't know if he has a puncture or no, he's out of the race. So Norris is out of the race. It's really punched up the pack here. Unfortunately for us, we've got 3 seconds, so all these moves don't matter now. But we're going to have a go on Nico Hulkenberg anyway, hopefully. We're a bit too far back, but we're going to have a go anyway. Perez has got up the inside, Butlow's up the inside. Hamilton, we're deep into the corner. We hit Hamilton, we hit Hulkenberg, and then we get clouded behind by, I think that's Kvyat, and we've been spun here on the last lap of the Grand Prix. We tried it. We probably went a bit too deep into the corner. Hit Hamilton, who for some reason was struggling and was getting overtaken by 2 cars at the same time, our teammate and Butler. We've lost a bit of our front wing. It doesn't matter at this stage. We had 3 seconds worth of penalties because we weren't going to score points. We tried something, didn't come off. That's how it goes sometimes. But that was the Mexican Grand Prix for us, 17th place.
Great effort there from Ferrari to take the victory today. Talk to me, Ants. What was it that set them apart from the competition today?
I feel like consistency was probably the key today. There's being quick, and then there's being quick lap after lap after lap. If you can do that, you can capitalise on other people's errors without making many of your own. And that's an approach that can push you a long way up the field.
And here we are, a team that is no stranger to the podium, taking their place on top once again. A sublime race today, and a stunning win for Ferrari. And now let's take a look at the driver's standings. Charles Leclerc, currently leading the championship standings, extends his lead even further with this result. Let's focus on the driver of the day, Anthony Davidson. Who do you pick?
Interesting choice today, I think. There's a few to pick from, but I think I have to give it to Danny Kvyat. He put in a rock-solid performance today, one that he can be proud of.
It's time to see how things are shaping up in the Constructors' Championship. Ferrari continued to extend the gap at the top of the table. It was also a strong Grand Prix from Haas F1 this weekend. Fantastic work from the American team to move themselves further up the table. I'm equal parts exhausted and elated with this weekend of Formula One. Be sure to join us for the next one.
So that was the Mexican Grand Prix. Charles Leclerc is your winner, with Sebastian Vettel finishing second. Bottas gets a podium in third, Verstappen fourth, as well as the fast lap, so he gets the extra point. Not sure what happened to Lewis Hamilton, but he ends up finishing 11th, so disaster for him. So not sure if he had an issue. I'm not sure what happened to Hamilton, to be honest. Poor race from us at the end of the day. Really sloppy. Had a time penalty for cutting corners. Made a bad mistake at the end of the lap. Sped into the pit lane. Real messy once again. Another 2 races in a row with Perez as our teammate. We've had 2 poor races, so we've got to fix that hopefully for the next race. But in terms of the championship, Leclerc, by winning this Grand Prix, has put himself 32 points ahead of Valtteri Bottas with 3 races to go. Sebastian Vettel, who led this championship from the first race of the season, has dropped 37 points behind, or sorry, 34 points behind, and he's now looking like that his teammate will be the champion this year. We are still currently 8th place, however in the Constructors we are 7th, so going to have a task on our hands to hopefully try and beat those, I think it's McLaren and Alfa Romeo for 5th place in the championship. It's going to be really difficult now. We do consolidate our last engine bit. We also go for a durability upgrade, but maybe I shouldn't have done the durability upgrade. I decided to anyway. I like having a durable car, so we don't have to take penalties, but we still have to anyway. But in the meantime, that's going to be today's video. I hope I'll see you guys for the next one at the US Grand Prix. Please leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys for the next video. Goodbye.